Hello everyone, and welcome to this month's video. Today we're going to talk about reviewing papers. Reviewing papers from the side of a reviewer. Okay? And we're going to investigate why somebody is a reviewer, how does it get selected, the duty the reviewer has, and then we're going to explore other possibility, okay, and understand if there is anything that can be done to improve the overall review process. So there are a couple of questions at the beginning, and they are, first of all, how do you get selected to be a reviewer? Well, let's take my case. I already reviewed a couple of papers during my PhD time. I think it was in the third year of my PhD that my supervisor handed to me, I think, one or two papers to review for him. And, I was quite excited because I was writing my own papers, at the time, and it was quite good to have a view of what other people were writing before the paper got published. And, that was a great insight on the review process. And after that I volunteered to review for some friends of some of my colleagues. They had some papers that they wanted to publish, so they asked if I was willing to do it, and I said, yeah, I volunteer, okay, for doing this job for you. And then little by little what happened is that over time, that publisher was quite a big one, has many journals, and because probably I was doing the review on time and my review was quite substantial, so editors start probably liking this sort of reviewer, and so my name got passed across, and very quickly, in let's say about 3 to 4 years after I reviewed the first paper, I was reviewing 4 or 5 papers per year on average. And then this kept growing, and from that publisher, then eventually other publisher called me also to review their papers. Probably because there are editors that work in different publisher. And I remember that between 2017 and middle 2019, I was reviewing tens of paper. In 2018, I actually counted them. There were about 25 papers I reviewed. Remember one of this month, 4. There were 4 papers which I reviewed in that month. So you can understand that this can get very quickly out of hand, especially if you do a good job, because people are going to rely on your work, because it's great, in terms of time and in terms of, really reading the paper and writing a substantial review about it. So why do you want to be a reviewer? This is the second question. Why do you want to be a reviewer? Reviewing papers, it's mainly done for free. Wait a second. I repeat it. Reviewing papers is mainly done for free, but a reviewer is the gatekeeper of science. So if you become a reviewer, you will be the gatekeeper of that little piece of science. So you're like a judge, judging other people's work, which may be in the hundreds of thousands of euro worth, and you don't get paid for it. It's not because you want a chunk of that money that they spend, they have to pay. No, it's because you need quality time to do this. So only when you get paid for it, then you can remove some of the other duty you have for which you get paid, and put this one of the reviewer in, which is a nice job, by the way. Yeah? And then you become a professional reviewer, you know. So you become a reviewer because not money. You get paid for it. So for what reason you become a reviewer? Yeah, let's take my example again. Well, I became a reviewer because I was interested in learning firsthand the work of others, especially experimental work. I did review also some numerical work, you know, and analytical work, but mainly was experimental. It was in my area. My area means, you know, heat and mass transfer with phase change, you know, these sort of things. Therefore, you know, I did it because I had an interest. I wanted to grow like these people by knowing what they were doing before they actually published it. Yeah? So I had this motive. Then there was another motive, which is, yeah, this is kind of trumpeted quite a lot out there in the publishing community, which is, if I review papers of others, then, you know, there is a good chance that others are going to review also my paper. That's, you know, very nice way to look at it, in principle. You know? And I think it's good reason why you should do it. Then there was a third reason, you know, which is personal. I want to be a good citizen. Therefore, I want to do a number of good things out of goodwill where I don't get paid for. So I can feel good about myself, what I've given to the community. Because, you know, the community somehow gives a lot to me. And I want to give some of my time, some of my energies, and, you know, if I can, also some of my money, spend money to the community. And this was one way to do it. Now that we have, you know, kind of understood how do you get selected, why do you do it, you know, the fact that you don't get paid, let's go in the more in the nitty-gritty, where, you know, things will become a bit more murky than so far. Okay, what about the duties of the reviewer? You know, some journals become a bit picky about this. You know, they will really either direct you to a web page where, you know, they list more or less what is expected from the reviewer, or, you know, they just put a few points in the email that gets sent to you. Yeah, it really depends on the journal, but most journals don't do it. Don't do this. And so if, you know, out on my 2 feet, if I have to make a recollection of, you know, this kind of duty, well, there is the fact that you shouldn't reveal your identity as a reviewer. No? You know who the authors are, but you shouldn't reveal who you are. Then, you know, you should write a report, but there is not kind of guidelines how this report should be. You know, it's up to you. And I think this is a big flaw. You know. Then, you know, you should be courteous in, you know, your communication with the authors, despite they don't know who you are. And you know, you should perform your review on time, which means that now a journal will send you a specific deadline. Will give you, you know, the possibility to review this deadline if you have issues. Yeah, but it's kind of strict. Can be, you know, a few weeks, 1 month. Sometime for letters, you know, I receive deadlines of 10 days. Yeah. And I have to reply if I accept or not within 2 days. Yeah. So it's very strict for that sometimes, especially for letters. And then, you know, they also try to make sure that, you know, you review work that it's in a field you understand. Correct. Now, I think these are good point, but they can be improved quite dramatically. How? Well, I think first thing, it's that you should have quality time to do the review. As a reviewer, if you don't have quality time, don't open that paper, man. Because the chance of screwing it up are relatively high. Don't open that paper. Obviously, don't open that paper, if you have troubles in your life, working life, private life, because you're affecting somebody else work and private life as well, because they are connected, they are linked. So don't do review when you are not feeling that great. Then you should review only in areas that you can comment on, but not in your particular topics within that research area. You say, well, I'm the expert there, Well, my experience tells that if you are the expert in that area and you are going to get a paper in that area, you are going to be quite harsh with those people, Yeah, because they are touching a raw nerve. They are trying to publish something in your same area, So I, would suggest that the rule should be that you should not review work in your same topic. Then what else? You should review the manuscript of people you know. This seems sensible, huh? Very sensible. Hey, wait. Hey, it doesn't seem sensible. Well, because the journals ask now to give them 3 to 5 potential reviewers. So the authors suggest the reviewers. It starts to sound like a Ponzi scheme. Another Ponzi scheme, yeah? No, the author should not suggest the reviewers at all. Actually, the journal tell you, suggest also the reviewers you don't want to review your paper. Come on, man. What is this? It's the boredom, It's not right, this. No. The other thing is, and here I get very picky, reviewers should write a good enough and especially long enough review that goes to substantiate all the points they are making. I cannot make a point about the paper I read and don't explain what I mean. Don't try to substantiate my statements. So I should prove, what I'm saying. So for instance, I can say this paper, it's badly written in English. This is something that happens a lot. But from where? From where do you see it? Where is it? Give me several examples throughout the paper, throughout the manuscript. And then, I understand it. Yeah, you're right. Here is what is wrong, here is what is wrong, here is what is wrong. And then, the author should look at the English. And as it for the English, for any other matter that I point out, I should essentially show it. Then, if I have doubts, several doubts, I should contact the authors through, obviously, the publisher. Oh, wow! Here, another cat is out of the box. No, this is not how it's done. The reviewer, it's not done like this. The review is done, you get the paper to review, you look at it, either you like it or not. You say yes or not. And if you say no, you have some options, which is, you can revise or you can send it to another journal. So there is not this interaction with the authors, which means there is a highly likelihood of misunderstanding. And many cases, this is what happens. There are misunderstandings, and they may not get served. Authors will go from a junior to another, and if they find the same kind of small-minded, reviewers, they will not improve their paper. Now, plagiarism should be something that should be checked by the publishing house as soon as they receive the papers. This should not be the job of the reviewer. Okay, this is something extremely important because there is a lot of duplication of work out there, and the publishers do this. The publisher gets paid then in the end for selling this work when it gets published. So they should take this ownership to check it. There are a lot of software out there. So you take software to check for plagiarism. Period. All of them. Okay? No excuse. Regarding the fact that the reviewers know who the authors are, but no vice versa, if we go back to, many decades ago, I read papers of many decades ago sometimes, I read paper, then I get to the end of it, and I find out a little line in the acknowledgement saying, the authors thank the work done by this guy as reviewer. Back then, they knew who the reviewer was. The reviewer was someone expert in the area. If they know my name, if the authors know my name, there is no great chance that I'm going to bitch on them, that I'm going to really drag them down on purpose. But if they don't know who I am, I can do that. And I can escape, any kind of retaliation in the future. So this is not right. Either you know each other, or you better probably do double-blinded. Okay. Why this kind of suggestion I made are important? Well, first of all, because they will make of the overall reviewing process a more lean one. Why? Because if I don't give enough details about the review process I'm doing, so I write a review which is 1 or 2 lines, let's say. It's not enough. The guys will never understand where I failed that paper. So they'll go to another journal and maybe they find another me, another someone like me there doing a shitty job, So if I receive a paper, any paper I received, I wrote at least 1 A4 page of comments. Only, I think, once in my entire review career, and I reviewed more or less about 500 papers overall. Only in one case, I have accepted the paper as it was. It was so well written, every part of it, that I accepted it as it was. Less than a line I wrote. In all other cases, and especially when there were a lot of problems in the paper, I have gone to length. Sometimes I've written 2-3 pages. In one case, I remember I wrote 4 A4 pages of review because I want to help these guys. I want to make sure that these guys, when they submit the paper that I felt, or I say major revision here, when they rework the paper or they submit to someone else, they know exactly what are their weak points. Then this will also limit quite a lot the publishing time overall, because we are not talking about one publisher. There are cases in which people go to 3, 4 journal. Sometimes, there are different publishers before they can get their paper, published. You're talking about years, man, years, right? That's a massive, cost to humanity. So that's why when I get something in my hand, I make sure I do more than the best job I can. Now, this will also reduce the cost of publishing overall. Because even if I, as a reviewer, don't get paid, but the editorial office has to process the whole thing. So there are costs. So this will also reduce the cost of publishing. Very good. Now we got to the last part of this video. So I think that reviewer should be paid for their work. It's so important job that they should be paid for it. And they are the gatekeeper of science. So better to take a young researcher, which have a couple of years of experience, and pay them almost full time for the job they do. And they, receive, let's say, 10 papers per month, to review, and they get paid for it, or even more. Sometimes, if you are good at it, you can review more than 10 papers per month if you're doing this as a full-time job. Then, publisher research, it's too important thing to be left with the reviewers of today, which have, some little spare time every week to dedicate to review. It shouldn't be like this. Then established researchers also have, usually biases. So it's not a good thing to give it to them. Now, some example from my experience, I got some reviewers which wrote 1 or 2 lines. Yeah, that's not enough. What are you talking about? If you are failing my paper, you should substantiate why. Then, another thing is, 2 times I've got reviewers which have crossed a line. They have made some extremely bad personal comments. I wrote the editors, obviously. The character I have, immediately I wrote the editor. And, in one of these 2 cases, I even got to the editor-in-chief. What happened? Nothing. Even if this guy wrote something and I had the proof in writing, nothing happened. Nothing happened. There is another thing, which is, sometimes the reviewer missed completely the important point of the manuscript. And then, how do you rectify that? You can't. It's gone. You have to hope that you get another reviewer, better reviewer, in another journal. Now, we're thinking about all of this. It looks like we are penny pinching here. Before all of this, we should have asked ourselves how many papers are published every year. I have the numbers here. 2017, 4.9 million. 2018, 5.3, increase of 8%. Then 2019, 5.7 million, another increase of 8%. 2020, an increase of 10%. And we got to 6.3 million papers. It's a massive increase here. It's steadily, nearly 10% every year. So this is the time where you should act to make changes, because you have such flow of papers every year. It's a steady flow, and the tide is going up. That's where you need to make changes, not when you crash, That's why I also made this video, to trying to show my kind of view, and the fact that we need to act now, that it looks very promising. Okay? Very good. Thank you for watching, and next month we're going to revert to what the trajectory we had before about writing papers and writing PhD thesis. Thank you. Bye.